about it right now. We are an AT&T. I'm Courtney with Cowboys Nation.
What is up? We are here for another edition of Tag Nation. I'm on the fly. Jimmy, can you hear me before I get started?
Sounds perfect, man.
All right. Well, then we got the audio figured out, but I was running across town taking my daughter to her cheer because my wife was out of town. I told Jimmy I was going to be 30 minutes late, but, we can't disappoint. So I put the pedal to the metal, did a little Smokey the Bandit style, and got home in the nick of time. But before we get started, make sure you guys, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe. Like, share the news, get the word out, get things going. We've got an interesting show. It's kind of, it's going to be heavy on the NBA, heavy on the NHL. So this is going to be my man Jimmy's time to shine. So he's going to educate me and the audience on some of his thoughts. But real quick before we get going, make sure you check out the schedule release show we did for Cowboys Nation primarily, but we touched on some other things. I got the games locked down on where we're going. I got some good news today. I saw my boy Kelly K9 is going to be going to the Sunday night game opening night. So we're going to be dropping the hype. We're going to be making things happen. So I'm pumped up for that. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Football season's coming. We got a lot of stuff going. But Jimmy, I watched the playoffs. I watched the hockey. I know you're feeling pretty good. What's your give me some takes? Where do you want to start? NHL or NBA?
Now let's start. I want to start with the NHL because I remember sitting here a week ago and I said, Rangers, you have a chair, sit in the chair, don't fall out. We were down 3-1. So then what? Game 5, we come from behind and win. Game 6, we come from behind and win. Game 7, after a sick-ass goal by Gunsel and Rodriguez scored a breakaway on us, I said, we're dead in the water. That's what's going through my mind.
Yep.
And then guess what? We come back. The Breadman scores in overtime. We take it home. On to round 2 and to Carolina. Now, I had people kind of calling me out after the fact because I put some stuff on social media and I said, we need to do some soul searching. Because in all reality, 5 of the games we played against Pittsburgh were games against an AHL goalie. And for those of you who don't know, it's like a AAA.
Playing the minor league.
Playing the minor league. So, so that being said, that series should have been over a lot quicker than it was. And if we play Carolina the same way we played against Pittsburgh, it's going to be a quick series. So I tell it like it is, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So I'm happy we moved on. However, we need to do some soul search in the next couple of days before game 1, or else it's going to be a quick series.
Yeah, no, well, and I saw the Tampa Bay Lightning, so I watched that one. They pull it out. They make sure they go to the next round. So you start. I think the Panthers they moved on. I mean, you got to help me with all this hockey stuff. So we're set up the matchups for the next round. What do we got?
Right. So first we got the Rangers in Carolina. So again, I already talked about the Rangers. I mean, look, guys stepped up when they had to. Kreider stepped up. Panarin finally scored something, so that's good. I see Daniel Lowe. It's Avalanche Cup to lose, man. Avalanche did steamroll Nashville. We'll get to that in a minute. But Carolina, they're a good team. They have 4 former New York Rangers of the D'Angelo, Stepan, Foss, and Chase. And so they're looking for some revenge, get back at us. And they're a really good team. So that's going to be a tough series for us. But it gets back to we can't rely on our goalie. Shesty had a hell of a series for New York, and you can't rely solely on him. We got to get some scoring going and play our game. I mean, honestly, last night, I'll give the Penguins all the credit in the world. I'll give them it was handpicked. So I'll give them all the credit in the world. The Penguins, they outplayed us, they outshot us, they blocked more shots than us. They did everything else better than us, but we won, and so we'll move on and see what happens.
They did everything better, but score more goals. That's all that matters.
Exactly right. So obviously I was psyched. We were going crazy last night. And I ended up getting about 3 hours sleep because I was all over social media and all wound up. And so for all you who call me a Debbie Downer, I wasn't being a Debbie Downer. I was just being real.
Yeah.
So we move on to the Tampa Bay. So now it's the Battle of Florida. We have the the Lightning and the Panthers, and that's an interesting series simply because Vasilevsky has been really sporadic. He's been inconsistent. He got pulled a game or two in the last series against Toronto. And the best part is Toronto, you guys can kiss my ass. Just like I said last week, you think all that about yourself. You haven't won a playoff series in 19 years. So do me a favor, sit down, shut up, and go back to that dump of a city you're from. But that's going to be an interesting series because both teams have some really good scorers. I mean, the Panthers scoring line with Barkov and Huberdeau and Duclair, that's a hell of a line. But then, you got Stamkos and Victor Hedman and Kucherov. So, that being said, that's going to be an interesting series. And I think it's going to boil down to two things. A, how physical Tampa Bay is with Florida, and B, how well Vasilevsky plays. If he's on his game, despite Florida having the best record in the league, winning the President's Trophy, Tampa could take that.
A lot comes down in hockey to the goalie. If you get a hot goalie, I mean, they can carry you. They can carry you through each round. So to your point, it'll be interesting to see. As Tampa seemed like maybe they beat them head to head more this year. I just know a couple of the games, but I'm not 100% sure. But
I think head to head, Florida edged them, if I remember correctly.
Did
they? Yeah, they edged them. But it's different. It's playoffs. It's more physical.
And I mean, Tampa's got that experience, right? Back to back champs. I mean, they're gonna be feeling good. So hopefully hopefully for our sake in Tampa, they could pull it out.
Well, it's funny because I'm ripping on Toronto. The Panthers haven't won a playoff series since '96 when we were out drinking together, watching it on TV.
Who was that? Van Beesbrook? Who was their goalie?
Yeah. And I think Danny thinks that Beeser's still in goal for the Panthers.
He probably does. I would too. I just but if you're not a fan, I'm telling you, there's just something about playoff hockey and really game sevens. So I mean, it was just I ended up watching all the games. Sunday, my wife was out of town, so I got to chill a little bit. So I just had the TV to myself, so watched a lot of sports. And between that and the basketball, and I mean, really with the basketball game sevens, those are some great games, except for the late game when the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, hopefully my Cowboys can take a little lesson to see what happened. They go to a game 7 on the road, and I mean, absolutely embarrassed the Suns. I mean, it was they were crying after the game. I mean, it's just, geez, pick yourself up and act like a man.
I'm going to get to that in just a sec because as far as I'm concerned, some of it with that is the backstory that was even, overshadowed the game itself, the series itself. But we'll touch on the West quick with the NHL. So Jake Oettinger, the Dallas goalie, I mean, he killed it. He now they lost, right? Calgary beat him in overtime, and so you got the Battle of Florida in the East, in the East, and the Battle of Alberta in the West. So you got Edmonton playing Calgary, but that was a hell of a series too. Very physical, a lot of fights, and it sucks because, like you said, it comes down to the goalie. But if you're going to stop 64 or 67 and lose in overtime, that's a kick in the nuts, man. That's
tough.
So and then Edmonton. What else is there to say? You got Connor McJesus, aka McDavid, the best player on earth, and Draisaitl. So that'll be an interesting series. And to the comment before, Colorado. I think that they're going to just run rampant on the Blues. I don't see them matching up well with the Blues, but we'll see what happens. I think if there's an Edmonton-Colorado matchup in the West in the finals, you might have some competition there. So we'll see.
Is my man still coaching the Blues?
What's that?
Who the coach? Tortorella, is he still coaching the Blues? No.
See, the coach is the best.
He had the best quotes. But it's funny because I feel like I wish. I keep saying we need to get some of these old calls. I feel like an old prank call because you could be throwing out all these names and I'm just nodding my head like I know what that. I don't know any of these hockey names, man. You could be making this shit up and I wouldn't even know what the hell you're talking about. But I do like watching it. I do like watching Nick basketball. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes,
so, that's another inside joke. Yeah. But no, it was exciting. It was exciting. So now you have this. Give me your pick. So go ahead. Who's from the East? Who's from the West? You got your next round in. Give me your expert opinion as being in Tag Nation as our hockey expert. What do you got?
I think Florida takes Tampa Bay in 6 games. The Rangers, I'm going to call it with my heart and say they take it in 7. I'm calling it with my heart. Colorado takes St. Louis in 5. And Edmonton Calgary is going to be tough. I think that goes 6 or 7. And then inevitably, I think it's Colorado, Florida in the Stanley Cup final. That's what I think, you know. And again, I'd love to pick with my heart with the Rangers. It's just, you know, we're a young team and we don't have that experience. And to your point, the Lightning do. And that's another edge they have on Florida. But, you know, Florida finally crossed over and finally won a playoff series for the first time since the 90s.
Yeah, well, you know, we all love the 90s, as you can see. You know, sometimes you can't let go of the 90s. There's such a great decade.
As you can see, yes.
Yeah.
So no,
you stay very neutral, I see.
And exactly. And to your point, you're right. There was 5 game 7s in NHL, and 3. There was 2 of them went to overtime. So it's exciting stuff. Now, NBA, you're talking about Dallas. So the best was when Lil Wayne, I don't know if you heard this about a week ago, called out Luka and said that he was a little hoe. And then Devin Booker says that he's flopping. So, you know, you're running your mouth. All you're doing is giving the guy a lot of fuel. And so look what happens.
I tell you, man, he's a badass man. I mean, he just I don't watch a lot of Maverick basketball. I don't, you know, so I didn't see a lot of him play, but I hear about him. I know he's got some skills and this and that, but it was, man, I mean, he didn't even play in the fourth quarter, and I think he had like 35. I mean, he was a stone cold killer in those last 2 games. And you know, he sent a message. I don't know if you saw the one thing where he called him you know, he dropped a slur on one of the players because he was bitching about a foul or something like that.
Oh, really?
Called him the P word.
Oh.
So he's got a little swag in him too, even though, you know, European player, he's got a little swag to him. So, you know, looking at those series. So what are you seeing? Now you got the Heat and they're playing Boston. The Boston, you know, they pretty much handled Milwaukee. And I was thinking maybe Milwaukee, that experience and this and that, maybe they overtake it. But, you know, Boston held on, they won. You got Miami, now you got Golden State, and you got Dallas. Can Dallas pull off this, you know, kind of like their Cinderella story? They're getting hot, or do you think their days it's coming to an end?
Well, no, I mean, you know, first of all, I want to take a step back. The iconic picture that's all over social media is Luka staring down Devin Booker with a big grin on his face. You know, so you want to run your mouth, that's what happens. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's funny because one of our good friends, Wayne, was calling me Captain Obvious for saying that the Suns were gonna take the West. Well, guess it wasn't so obvious because they're out, and it was kind of surprising. I mean, Chris Paul did nothing, and Devin Booker. I mean,
their whole team did not. They were down 45 points in the third quarter at one point. I mean, how the hell does that happen?
I know, it was crazy.
It reminded me a game of you versus Wayne on the basketball courts.
Yeah, I know. Remember that when I used to whoop his ass? It was crazy. Even when I had that Emmitt Smith injury that time, just
a little worse.
I still beat him. Yeah. I remember that. But no, it's going to be tough. So I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. So we got Golden State and Dallas. I don't know, man. He's on a roll. He's got a chip on his shoulder now, and you can't have one guy carrying the team. But you know, I guess we'll see what happens. It's a toss-up because again, I thought Phoenix was going. It was theirs to take. You know? Yeah. So now getting over to Milwaukee, we sat here a week ago, and I said I just didn't see them going back. I didn't see them. I didn't see him losing to Boston, but I didn't see him going all the way. Miami's going to take care of Boston in 6.
Do you think Miami's going to handle their business?
I think so. I mean, you know, Butler's Butler, Bam is Bam. Tyler Herro, I mean, he's, you know, 6th player. That guy's a starter on most teams in the league. They're just too strong. They're too brutal.
Yeah. All right. So that's what you say. So you got to make the hard prediction. Now you're the NBA resident expert. So who's coming out of the East? Sounds like you're saying Miami, but who's coming out of the West? You got to put the money on it. Remember, not with your heart.
No, you know what? I think Dallas will come out now. Once Phoenix lost, it opened up, man. You know,
Yeah.
so I think it's going to be Dallas and Miami. Now,
Well,
I think
that would bring up some history because there's a little bad blood between Dallas and Miami, especially the LeBron D Wade era when there was a lot of talking and about Dirk, and then obviously the Mavericks won, and that's the one. When I get in the arguments with LeBron, with LeBron fans, that's the one thing you always come back to is, you had that team in Miami and you got embarrassed by the Mavericks with a team that you were clearly better than. So, but a lot of the fans I know in Dallas, because I've seen it and I've heard it, they have not forgotten all the things that were said, and especially things that D Wade did. So they do not like Miami. So that would maybe bring a little TV excitement. I know all the players have changed, but still, you can bring up some of that old stuff and kind of stir the pot a little bit and make something happen.
the players have changed. We just changed the date, the year. But no, you're right. Actually, that does bring up some old school bad blood, and I guess we'll see what happens. But if it's me, I say that we're talking Miami, Boston. Miami's going to kill them to death in 5 games, right? And from the West, I think that's going 7, but I think Dallas will take it. I'm sure the NBA wants Daniel Lowe. I think the NBA wants Golden State and Boston. I don't know about that. Probably right.
Maybe Golden State. Maybe Golden. I mean, if you had Miami, I think Miami's a pretty big, would be a good draw. But Boston is a historic franchise, so I get that. And Golden State, I mean, they love Golden State. You love Curry. They love, that star power. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But so now you got all the NBA. Now you got all the NHL. You guys are ready to figure it out. So let's touch on some. What else has been going on in your world of sports or in your world of life? What was your weekend like? What do you got?
Had a good weekend. And went out Friday night and watched the game out at a nice place around the corner here, and the place is going crazy. The game 6 of the Rangers. So that was fun. Threw a few drinks back. Maybe more than a few back, and it was a good time. And then finally, the pool was open this weekend, so we got to go in the pool and hang out and get a little tan. So it was fun.
Yeah. Well, I got to do the same. Hung out in the pool. I told you I'm having some neighbor wars. I should be on a reality show soon. So my man got, we had to put a little Miami bass on him. So, he got to hear some greatest hits from 2 Live Crew and Poison Clan. And then I'm working on, now I'm I had to get a privacy fence put up. So I was supposed to have someone come out today, and they didn't, they had to reschedule because they were sick. So then we're getting a survey done. I mean, there's a whole big war that we're having. This is big time. We're arguing over a property line. So it's been a lot of fun. So that's how my weekend goes. And but then hanging with getting ready with the schedule release and figuring out what games to go to. And then I've been trying to book my reservations, and everything's saying sold out at the places I stay. Now, I know they're probably holding the rooms or kind of letting the dust settle to figure things out. But right now, I haven't been able to get a room to any of the games I want to go to. So now I got I got season tickets, and I got nowhere to stay. So I need to find some more. I got to find some more friends in the Dallas area, but we'll figure it out. I'm sure that's what it is. It'll work itself out. Airline tickets were outrageous. So I'm trying to let the dust settle on some of these things. I'm sure the economy's not helping, but maybe it'll, some of that'll slow down.
Well, and I'll tell you, first of all, Camel Piper, White Claw, it's not happening. I never agreed to that bet, so we can forget about that. But, it's funny. We're still trying to figure out and work our schedules to figure out which game that I can go to Mike with down in Big D.
I know. Well, it's slim pickings right now. Our home schedule isn't the best, and the games that I want to go to, like some of the other games, they're falling on a holiday that I can't go. Like I always go see the Eagles. There's nothing better than beating the Eagles at AT&T. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm really disappointed. I'm not going to be able to make that game because it falls on Christmas Eve. And then I went to Thanksgiving last year, so I can't do 2 in a row, away from the family and stuff. So they play the Giants on Thanksgiving. I've never seen the Giants. I've never seen Dallas and New York play. I know the Giants are down, but I still love going to some of the rivalry games.
Yeah.
So, I've got the obviously the Bucks down pat. I got the Washington, and then I've got Chicago, and then Jeff is a big Colts fan, so we're gonna hit that Sunday night game at AT&T. It's like I said, there's nothing better than primetime games, in the NFL, and it's even better at AT&T. I love the like I said, maybe the fans aren't as crazy and ruckus and fighting all over the place, but it's just cool hanging with Cowboys Nation. And you tailgate in the parking lot, you're having a good time, you get in the game. The atmosphere and all the the lights and the production that they put up on the Jumbotron, man, it's really, it's great work. So it definitely gets me riled up and gets me going. Plus gives me opportunity to, it's another trip out there, man. So I never want to miss those games. We still got to figure it out, but we'll get it together and come up with a game that works.
Yeah, and then at least bright lights, big cities, beautiful ladies. So yeah, no, I definitely. Last time we went down there when my Falcons beat your Cowboys, it was a good time. It's a beautiful stadium.
And I was there the last time we beat you, got like 40 something. I don't know, embarrassed you.
I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I'm the good luck charm. Okay. So.
Well, the thing is I was thinking about it, and I was trying to remember primetime game that I've been to Dallas that we lost. Like we beat the Rams. A lot of people didn't think we were going to beat the Rams a couple of years ago. We beat the hell out of them. We embarrassed the Eagles. Washington, I went to that one last year. We embarrassed them. So I've been on a little bit of a streak on these prime times. Guys, Eagles, another prime time. We slapped them around. So hopefully I can get the mojo, because starting out with Tampa Bay Sunday night, that's the way to start the season. And I tell you, for us, it's, for your first 5 games, you're going to see what this team's made of real fast. You got the Bucks and you got the Bengals. You're going to throw the Rams in there within that mix, and it's going to be interesting to see how this team responds.
Well, but then again, you never know. Look what happened, and I'm not trying to break your balls, but then look what happens in the playoffs. You just don't know.
No, you don't. That's why I say you got to get to the playoffs, and the hope that I have with the Cowboys is, maybe it's, what I talked about a little bit with Larry Cole is maybe this is a little bit of a 91 version of the Cowboys where, now this could be the 92 version where they were young. They kind of found their way a little bit, got beat pretty bad in the playoffs against the Lions, and then came back the next year and just steamrolled. Their schedule sets up. They do have a nice schedule. The thing I'll always say is, and I got in an argument with a buddy of mine, is they talk about the Cowboys, they talk about their schedule, and they say, oh, they got the easiest schedule in the NFL. Well, when you look at the winning percentage, yeah, they play the Jaguars. That brings it way down. Washington brings it way down, and the Giants bring it way down. But I believe they play like 6 playoff games, 6 or 7 or 6 teams or whatever it is. So they play as many as most other teams. They are playing the Bucks, they're playing the Rams, they play the Eagles twice, they made the playoffs, they're playing the Bengals. I know I'm missing somebody. So they have their schedule. They play the Titans. So they play some tough teams. So their schedule, don't look at the winning percentage. It's probably, you can look at the Falcons. I don't know where the Falcons rank in their schedule. I don't know which division you play, but a lot, it plays in the division you play because most of your schedule is already kind of predetermined.
No, we play the NFC West and AFC North, so it's not going to be that easy.
No, you got a tougher one. You definitely got no cakewalk.
But again, it depends on how the teams, with this whole parity crap, we get back to the Bengals, 4-12 the year before, and then they're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to be dealing with the following year. And now Camel Piper was on here. We got his 49ers, I think it's week 5 or 6, and that should be a good victory for us. And
I hope it will. And that's the thing. Look at the Bengals. I know a lot of people, and I think the Bengals are going to take a step back. I could be wrong, but I mean, they were 10-7. It wasn't like they were, it weren't the cream of the crop. But they got a little hot in the playoffs, and that's what I mean. Look at the Packers. What were they? 13-3. They get bounced in the first game.
That's typical.
We were 12-5. We got bounced in the first game to a team that was a couple tiebreakers and everything kind of had to go right, and they end up sneaking in the playoffs, but they had to battle. That's why I don't get caught up in our regular season record. You want to have success. You want to try and get your best opportunity to go, but I want to see how you're playing at the end, because I want to see you playing your best football down the stretch. And if you look at Dallas, I mean, the writing was on the wall. Their best football was not played at the end of the season. They had a stumble against this one, or they looked okay and pulled one out. It just didn't. You didn't feel 100% confident going into the playoffs. Like I always go back to say, is they had the number one offense, but I watched every game. I never got the feeling the last half of the year that was the number one offense in the league. I think they put up a lot of yards and put up a lot of points against. They blew out. The Eagles. They blew out the Redskins. They had some big blowout wins. But when it came to the dogfight, when it came to a defense that was going to punch you in the mouth, they didn't respond very well. And again, that goes to me. A lot of it is going to fall on the coordinator making adjustments from what I've seen. But again, Dak's got to take that next step. He's got to be the leader. He's fully capable of doing it, but he's got to get to that next step as well.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. And like you said, though, it's whoever's down the stretch.
Yeah.
Even the NBA and NHL, it's the same thing. Those teams that just caught fire at the end. But then again, I remember having this talk 3 or 4 weeks ago. The Heat were kind of, little stutter step, dropped the ball toward the end, and they came back and did what they're going to do. So I guess also some of it is some of the leadership and experience going in. And you guys have some experience going in from last season.
Yeah. Now they got more, but the NBA and baseball, it's best of 7 too. So usually the cream rises in those 7 games. Or football, you just got to be better that day. That's it.
Yeah.
For 60 minutes, you got to be the better man today. But yeah, so I'm excited. I get pumped up for football. So we'll have a lot obviously to talk about with football and what's up?
No. I was just saying, I'm just glad that you watch some NBA and NHL. Like, I'm happy about that.
Man. I'm trying to broaden my horizon. I love, like, to me, and I'm going to sound like an old man, is the NBA. I used to like it back in the day. It was more physical. But now it's just a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit different. But hey, hang tight. I got a technical issue I got to work real quick. Jimmy, talk to the people real quick.
We'll do some talking. So getting to what Mike's talking about, it's funny, and I agree. Nowadays, you can take 3 steps and it's not a travel. Any kind of contact, it's an automatic foul. Back in the day, I mean, think about it. We're talking about the 90s and 90s sports. And you had, the Detroit Pistons, who I hated. I couldn't stand them. But look, they would beat the hell out of you. I mean, there was no, you knew, you're down down low. You're getting elbowed. You're going to get tripped. You're going to get hit, and that's just the way it was. And there was constantly fight. It was almost like hockey at times in the NBA back then. There was some fight. You see fights. You'd see some crazy stuff going on. You see Pat Riley getting dragged across the court.
That was Pat Riley. That was what's his name? The guy who does the commentating.
No, that was when that Pat Riley got dragged.
No,
Pat Riley held it back. That's right.
That was what's his name? What was the guy's name? It's messing me up. His brother coached
Jeff Van Gundy.
Van Gundy. Yeah.
Sorry, that's right. Riley was smart enough.
Pat Riley would never let that happen. And speaking of, have you watched any of that Laker? Did you take my recommendation? No. Oh, you have to watch it.
I got to broaden my horizon.
Yeah, it is if you guys, and I've talked about it, that Laker series that's on HBO is I mean, I just watched the season finale, so I'm done with it. But I think they're going to bring it back to another season. But it was just such a good, it was a cool story. Now, I mean, it's a little bit probably heavily exaggerated, but it was a lot of fun. It's entertaining. Yeah. It's interesting. Like some of the, the characters, you'll remember a lot of them, you know, from back in the day. It was a lot of fun, but you definitely want to check that out.
Well, and it's funny on a Daniel, they review every hard foul, and it's true. Again, it's gotten into a league where, it's touch fouls, right? So you can take 3 steps and it's not a problem. You barely touch a guy and it's a foul. It's just a very, very different game. Even the NHL, we're seeing a lot of fights in the playoffs. Man, 25 years ago, you had your enforcers. And you know what? If somebody screwed your best player, okay. So people are, in Game 6, people were saying that, Game 5, that we cheap shotted Sidney Crosby. You know what? 25 years ago, and I don't agree with it. I think it was a clean hit. But 25 years ago, you'd have somebody, go beat the hell out of somebody who went after your star player if you thought they went after your star player. So I think part of it is culture that we've kind of devolved. I say devolved, right?
Yeah.
It's a man's sport. Let them do what they got to do. Let them play physically. I don't understand this, what I call devolving. But he's right. Daniel's right. That they're going to review all that crap. It's ridiculous.
And that's that's gotten, obviously football. We've talked a lot about. We've had former players on the show talking about it. It's just it's every sport. It's just kind of changed. And the thing is, why has it changed? I think, of course, offense is what people want. They want to see a lot of scoring. They want to see, no one wants to see a 9-6 game in football, but I do. Like, I used to love, when you watch the 85 Bears, or the Ravens in the, in the early 2000s, even the Buccaneers when they had their run, man, it was physical, man. It was a dogfight, and it was just intense. Every little play mattered. And it was the same thing when, with Jordan, and, when he had to work his way up and get those beatings, and he had to work out harder. If you watch the Jordan documentary, if you watch the Joe Montana, Netflix, or one of them did maybe it was Peacock, one of them did a documentary on Joe Montana, and you just forgot the beatings that this man took. And you look at the players today, you hear Drew Brees, oh, maybe I'll come back and play like 43, 44. It ain't never that never happened, man. No. A quarterback, they ain't playing in their 40s back in the day. I mean, if Dan Marino and Elway and all these guys played in this era, God knows how many yards. That's why you never want to compare eras. I know I've said that before, but I know I'll never get in that argument of who's the greatest quarterback or who's the greatest running back or who's the greatest, receiver, because the eras are so different. I will touch on one thing. There was a tweet that went out. So I'm a Cowboys fan. Jimmy, you're unbiased, so you can chime in. A tweet came out is basically saying that Dez Bryant in his prime was the greatest Cowboys receiver of all time. So I simply responded, no. He obviously never saw Michael Irvin. And I didn't see Drew Pearson play, but I would probably him too. Michael Irvin, people who weren't from that era, Michael Irvin was probably the greatest competitor I've ever seen in any sport. I mean, and I just said every sport. No one worked harder than him. He won championships on every level, in high school at St. Thomas down in Fort Lauderdale, obviously University of Miami, in Dallas, he won 3. But he was one of the greatest. He demanded the ball. He was physical. He was just he all he did was work. I mean, he worked out so hard. I mean, unfortunately, obviously, he had some off the field things that maybe didn't help him long term. But he laughs about it now, and those are challenges he had. But there was nobody that, I mean, you're talking about, and I will put Deion Sanders, to me, is the greatest cornerback, in the history of the NFL. And Michael Irvin and him had some battles, and Michael Irvin won his share. Deion won his share, but they were about 50-50. And I wouldn't say that about any other receiver that went up against Deion Sanders. But, what is your thoughts? I mean, you were from that era, but you also see Dez. And it's no knock on Dez. I love Dez. Dez was one of my favorite Cowboys, and he was a competitor, and he was this. There was a lot with him. But Michael Irvin was just on another level to me.
No, Michael Irvin was as much as, and I'll do a comparison. Some people might dog me for this, but him and Jerry Rice was the same way.
Yeah.
They wanted the ball. They were competitors. They wanted to win. So no, I agree with you. Right before you even finished the sentence, I said Michael Irvin.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So who the hell would say something like that?
I don't know. I mean, some people, if you're like my son, he's 18, right? He'll be 18 this year. I can't believe my boy's getting old. But his Dez Bryant's his favorite. He still asks me, is Dez Bryant coming back to play? I mean, he loves Dez Bryant. And he'll never. I love that one. Yeah, best Cowboy receiver is Roy Williams.
I didn't see
he had
it,
that one catch, man, at Thanksgiving, and I thought he was gonna take it to the house, and then they got stripped against the Saints. We lost the game. I'll never forget that. We gave two first round picks for him, but no, it went back to eras. It went back to, you got a young person who hasn't seen Michael Irvin play. And, he grew up with Dez Bryant. He's going to think Dez Bryant's better. It's the same argument, and we're going to have this debate. It's the same argument I get a lot with LeBron James to Michael Irvin, or Michael Jordan, excuse me. You have a lot of people in this generation, LeBron James the greatest. Now, it's no knock. So I try and explain to people, just because I say Michael Jordan's the greatest, that doesn't mean I think LeBron's a bum. I mean, LeBron is easily, top 5. I mean, you can argue that all day long, but Jordan was just, to me, was on another level. And it goes more than how many points and this. It goes to what you see with your eyes. And what I saw with my eyes of Michael Jordan, he's a killer. He refused to lose, and he battled his ass off constantly, demanded the ball.
And being a Knicks fan, I couldn't stand him.
Yeah.
He drove me crazy. And, again, and then it gets back, he played during a physical era, right? He come down the middle, and you got Patrick Ewing, put him down, you know what I mean? Or Oakley putting him down, and whoever else, you know what I mean? Anthony Mason putting him down. John Starks dumping over his ass, which was one of my favorite highlights. But, it was a different era. LeBron James, you touch him, it's a foul. And LeBron James, he's crying over getting cramps. So I'm not a fan. Look, I'm not a fan of his, so I'm going to be biased, right? But having lived through both eras and trying to remain as down the middle as possible, I mean, Jordan was by far and away the best player ever in the league.
He was just a great competitor. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to, then that's to me. And again, whenever you do that, people get offended. And I get offended too. So I understand it when they say it's LeBron or it ruffles up my feathers a little bit. And again, it's a debate I have with Emmitt Smith. Was Emmitt Smith a great running back, or do you have a great line? And I always go back to when Emmitt Smith didn't play, they didn't win. Same line. Yeah. Running back didn't do nothing. So you tell me. So it's always good debate. It makes it a lot of fun. So.
But I think what it does, it gets back to what we say all the time. The NFL is probably the worst in remembering the guys who paved the way, the veterans who were there before, and kind of shining the spotlight on them a little bit more. NFL is probably the worst of that. Baseball is great at that. They're great at bringing back they try to avoid that. McGuire Sosa bit a little bit, for obvious reasons, but people know old-time baseball players from the 80s, 70s, back 50s, 40s. They're really good at that nostalgia.
Yeah, no. So it's something we should, we can spend, dedicated shows on feelings of different players and different eras and who's the greatest here and who's the greatest there. And again, you'll never be able to, you can never identify it because the game has changed so much. It's like the Daniels point that, the receivers are just free to roam now. Back in the day, it wasn't happening. It was very physical. The cornerbacks were allowed to be very physical. The safeties were very physical. Wow. If you went across, like Michael Irvin's, his go-to route was a slant. He knew he was going to get hit every single time, still caught the ball. And going across the middle, that's it's a little bit different now than it was back then. I mean, guys were. They were going out to really hurt you. And it's not that no one wants to see him get injured, but it was just a physical It was
Right.
just a physical game. Is a physical way to play football.
Which changed the mentality of the whole game, right? I mean, like Ronnie Lott. I mean, imagine having to go across, and Ronnie Lott's back there. That takes a big set of balls to come across knowing you're going to get your ass lit up by Ronnie Lott.
Yeah.
But it was, like you said, it wasn't that they wanted to hurt the guy. It was just that was the mentality. You came out there to, separate the ball from the player, and that's all. And you hit his ass, and that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's just the way it was. It was funny. I was watching after a few scotches on Saturday night, and some of the games were over. After the Edmonton game ended, I was flipping through the channel, and Smokey the Bandit Part 2 was on. Right? So,
not the best one.
No, okay. At least it wasn't number 3, which is awful.
Yeah.
But so he pulls into the the Orange Bowl, and Terry Bradshaw's stupid ass is in there, right? I don't like him. But anyway, he says, "Hey Joe, tackle that car," right? And Joe Green. And you saw this. I noticed that you saw the size of the shoulder pads that Joe Green had, and it's like they don't wear even remotely that thick of equipment anymore. And I know some of it's technology, and they can make lighter equipment, but it's also because, again, the game has changed. Mean Joe Green is not hitting your ass anymore. Right? He doesn't like that. So,
I was saying, sheriff, your badge is crooked.
Yeah, right. Joe Klecko, right? Much obliged.
Much obliged. So, anyway. Oh man, I tell you, it was a crazy weekend, crazy day. I made it just in the nick of time. I don't know, Jimmy, if you got anything else. Obviously, we're gonna be digging into more football and more of that kind of stuff as the season gets ready. But we still got a little bit of playoff, with the NBA and NHL. So, anything else that we missed that you want to touch on?
Yeah, and you probably didn't see it because I know you were taking care of all family business.
A lot of family business, that's I was being the super dad this weekend, man.
And that's good, and I'll take it. Most people think Mike and I we basically just say, see you at 8:00.
Yeah.
There's no rehearsing. There's no what are we talking about. We know each other well enough where we know what we're talking about. You may not have seen this because this just popped up a couple hours ago. And I'm not going to get deep into it, but so Nestor Cortez, who's really killing it as the Yankees' number 2 pitcher this year. Honestly, he's playing like the number 1 pitcher. So he's 27 years old and he's just having a great year, playing a lot better than Garrett Cole's $300 million worth. I'll say that. But anyway, I love them both. Yankees are kicking ass. But Nestor Cortez, 10 years ago on Twitter, decided he was going to do some rapping. And let's just say he had some things to say that probably offended some people. So now all of a sudden, he's he deleted his Twitter and all this other stuff. So it goes back to saying, kids, whatever it might be, whatever stupid stuff you say, do, pictures you take, Polaroids, whatever, that stuff is permanent.
Permanent.
Right? So I don't know. Honestly, I just saw this maybe about 45 minutes before we came on. So I'm waiting to see what kind of, if there's going to be any fallout or fines or whatever the case may be. But again, that was 10 years ago. And now you have a guy who's killing it. People in New York love him because he looks like an average everyday guy. If he was walking down the street, you would not know that man is a major league pitcher. He's killing it. And, we'll just have to see what happens.
I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it's just unfortunate. You got to carry everything you did when you were a kid, and that's I always say it's thankful there was no cameras and stuff around when we were hanging out. Everyone wouldn't. Nobody would be thinking I'm this upstanding member of the community and citizen if I had some of those cameras back in our day. But hopefully people move past that and kind of get over it, especially if he's just doing some juvenile things. He wasn't viciously hurting anybody.
No, but it sounds like he was just singing a song, but I guess we'll see what happens. So that was kind of crappy hearing about that.
Yeah, I grew up listening to 2 Live Crew, and I always thought it was funny. I never, but you listen to their lyrics now, and you're like, ooh,
right.
I can't believe I was listening to that when I was 12 and 13 years old. But that was the era that we grew up with. With Eddie Murphy, the comedy was so much different. Everything was so much different. Everyone made fun of everyone. It was all good nature. There was never any malice to any of it. Yeah. And rap music. I grew up on gangster rap. I grew up. I never tried to go out and rob anyone. I never tried to assault anyone. I never was demeaning to women. It was just the era we grew up with. It was more to me. It was funny. Like as a kid, like listening to some of that stuff, it just made me laugh. Like and you just different time. No, I'm glad I grew up in the late 80s and early 90s. I always say that it's the best decade to grow up in. Last great decade.
It was, and it was funny because sometimes I'll put on some old school Eddie Murphy or even Adam Sandler into the 90s. And if my kids are around, some of the things I think are funny as hell, they're kind of like the crickets. Like, great, Thanks, Daniel. We appreciate it.
Daniel. No, I do appreciate that, Daniel. But yeah, I mean, and that's your point. I mean, we're just on here. We just want to have fun. Neither one of us are experts in this system. We try and figure it out. But I mean, you guys, a lot of Cowboy fans know. They're in the Cowboys cave. I'm getting ready to drop some hype videos. I almost dropped one when the schedule came out. I was ready. I was having a hard time keeping these alligators down. But I want to make sure I get everything together and I've got it all focused on Sunday night on Thursday. I'll probably drop it maybe Thursday, Thursday or Friday. And I got to figure it out because we got Thursday night football. I don't want to take away any of the spotlight. So, but it's going to be a fun year. Of course, bring my boy Jimmy D into the mix. And, like I said, I will make him a Cowboys fan. His Falcons will be out of it by week 5. So he'll need a team to support.
I don't think that's happening. But, better shut up. Freaking half. But no, it'll be fun. And look, I'm going to get my Falcons in there. I know this is a very Dallas Cowboys centric show, and with Mike Tagg and the hype man. But I'll get my Falcons licks in there. And hey, I'm hoping again that maybe we're the Cincinnati Bengals this year. I'm not holding my breath, but again, I got laughed at when Chris Chandler.
I'm making an official declaration, bet, demand, whatever you want to call it. For every win you guys get, I need to see something on that wall. A piece on the wall each time you guys get a victory.
Okay. You sound like Camel Piper with the damn White Claw thing yesterday. Yeah, there ain't no way. But you know what? I might have to take you up on that because maybe I might have 8 or 9 things up here by the end of it.
That's motivating. It's like Major League when they took a piece of the clothing off, and they're making that run. Right? We're going to take the opposite. Every win you get, we want to fill up that wall so it looks as good as the cave. Then by the end of the season, we'll be matched up, and people are like, man, these guys are crazy. So
some of the newer viewers, I mean, like I said, through the forbidden door over here, I got all sorts of Yankees and Knicks and Falcons and Rangers stuff, but in fairness and other stuff, actually, I got you guys got me Paulie from Rocky. I'm gonna break him out and other celebrity autographs and stuff, but no, and nobody matches your cave, and I don't know, maybe if I can get 9 things.
You just got to get a few things on there. You got to get a few. Well, hey, we'll address this last thing, and then we'll dip out. But the new Monday night format, it's a little bit because now you got Joe Buck and you got Troy Aikman.
Yeah,
I was against it. I thought it was a bad move by the group. I think Fox is still king, but I'm an NFC guy, so yeah. I think Fox, but I think Sunday night is the king of primetime. I think Monday nights kind of fall into the wayside, and I think a lot of it has to do with the matchups. And I think that's gonna, I looked at the matchups; they didn't look all that great. I still think Sunday night is a place, but you don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe Monday night can finally get back to being the number one primetime, spotlight game for the NFL. But I still think Sunday night's king.
You know what? And it gets Joe Buck. I can't stand him. I never have been able to. But you're talking about Monday Night Football, and part of it is, and this could be sports in general. There's so many options of things for people to watch out there. So if you're not necessarily a fan of Monday Night Football, you could be watching something on a streaming service, or some people are watching, Monday Night Raw, or whatever the case may be. and
Yeah.
that helped put a dent in the ratings because it was always football Sundays, and you had Monday night.
Yeah.
They're just like we were talking about. You might be diluting it a little too much, adding all these games and then the double headers and all this stuff.
Well, the doubleheader is ridiculous. It's stupid. They're doing it at the same time. They're separating the games by an hour. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's just, but I mean, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We'll see. So, but anyway, I think we've taken enough of the people's time, especially me. I hadn't seen my wife in 4 days. I don't know if that's good. No, I'm just kidding. And so I ran in, dropped my daughter off, and jumped on the show because I couldn't be late. So, Jimmy, we'll get talking. Maybe we'll pop maybe we'll do a surprise show at some point. If not, we will be back Monday night, but it may be, might have to do Sunday because I'm going to be out of town on Monday, but we'll talk about it. We'll figure it out and see what we can do. So, guys, peace out until next week when we see you. Be bringing that hype. I'll leave you with a little taste of this.
Down, up and down the field. So now, why don't you guys pack it up? Get out of my stadium. Now that you just admitted that we're the greatest, and stare out of my face. Now, can you dig it?